And we've got a real-time real estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com. rsrmoney.com. Home buyers are still more active than usual. Even though the housing market is no longer experiencing the frenzy that was so characteristic of the last couple of years, it doesn't mean today's market is at a standstill. In actuality, buyer traffic is still strong today. Showing index is a measure of how much buyers are touring homes. We're going to show you a graph to illustrate buyer activity trends over time to help put today into the proper perspective. And just remember, when you look at the graph that we've got on, if you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our socials with ABC, News and Talk, AM 1490 video feed, 2021, 2022, we call those the unicorn years. It shows there's seasonality in real estate. If you look at the last normal years in the market, that would be on the chart we're showing from 2017 through 2020. That's what we're showing as the last normal years. It's in gray. There was a consistent pattern as buyer activity peaked in the first half of the year during the peak home buying season in the spring and slowed as each year came to a close. When the pandemic hit in March of 2020, that trend was disrupted as the market responded to the resulting uncertainty. That's shown in blue in the middle. From there, we entered the unicorn years. That's shown in pink on the graph. This is when mortgage rates were record low and buyer demand was sky high. Similar seasonal trends still existed even during that time, just at much higher levels. Now let's look at 2023. Traffic is down from the previous month, and it's also lower than the peaks we saw in the unicorn years. But what's happening isn't a steep drop-off in demand. It's a slow return toward more more normal seasonality, as the showing time report explains. Quote, showing traffic declined about 10% in May. This follows a typical seasonal pattern disrupted by the pandemic, but now beginning to return, unquote. And to highlight this isn't a drastic decline, let's zoom in. And we've got another graph using just the May data for the last 5 years. It shows just how strong buyer demand is. Traffic remains above pre-pandemic limits or levels, not as high as the unicorn years, well, 2021. It's higher than 2022. Buyers are still out there touring homes. They're more active than they were in May 2022, with sticker shock over higher mortgage rates started to set in, and certainly more than they were in the last normal year. So remember, buyer activity is still strong, and it could actually be even stronger if it wasn't constrained by the limited supply of homes for sale. According to the U.S. News, housing markets have cooled slightly, but demand has not disappeared and in many places remains strong, largely due to the shortage of homes on the market, unquote. Bottom line, don't lose sight of just how active the market is today. If your house isn't on the market, it's not getting in front of all those buyers who are looking to make a purchase right now. Let's connect to start the process. Remember, I know that you're worried about selling your house too quickly and not finding a new one. At Geneva, they've got a transition loan that helps with that. If you don't understand the transition loan, basically, you go and get approved, use the equity of your departing property, even though you haven't sold it yet. You're going to get a new loan securing that, and you're going to have that loan will cover the acquisition. So you've got one loan covering two properties. We used to call it, back in 20 years ago, we called it a cross-collateralization loan. So using two properties to collateralize a new loan, and that gives you the ability to buy the new property. And it can be closed very quickly just because our friends at Geneva have their own money that they're lending out. Just throw that out there. It's a transition to help you get in. Then you just use the departing property, the equity there, and get a new loan on the acquisition, and you're ready to get up and running, and you're all set there. That's a real-time real estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com.